Good afternoon, everyone. In David Smith's chapter, Cage, Carnival, and Calling, we clearly view the role that our environments and backgrounds have in our thoughts and behaviors. First, Smith points out that before we were born, our cultural DNA was shaped by our families and our environments. In essence, we are a byproduct of our surroundings. Those things help to make us who we are today. Smith says on page 41 that our stories are more than I stories. The cultural patterns that shape how we perceive, communicate, and behave were for the most part around before we arrived on the scene. Second, Smith suggests that our upbringing provides context and clarity to our behaviors. Smith believes that human thought and practice are fashioned by how a person was raised. For example, elementary students in Japan will probably have a totally different cultural routine and norm than students in the United States. Additionally, some children develop certain etiquettes where they address an adult by ma'am or sir when asked a question. Others may respond with a what or a huh. I remember one time when I addressed my grandmother with a what after she asked me a question. And honestly, I did this after seeing my friend do the same thing with his mom. And boy, didn't I get a tongue of whooping. And even that word whooping is a result of our upbringing, as some cultures would use the word spanking. To Smith, even our values and morals are based upon our enculturation. This is where Smith expresses to his readers two significant responses that we must have from our enculturation: gratitude and repentance. On one hand, we should be grateful for our families, our environments that we grew up in, our childhood memories, the values that were instilled in us. I know personally I'm grateful for the fact that I was born into a family who believed and embraced Christ. And they passed this belief and value on to me. But on the other hand, Smith says that we should be repentant and remorseful for some of the cultural behaviors we have done that attacked other cultures or suggested that one culture is more dominant than another. In this vein, Smith says that culture is our calling. Culture shapes our very lives and who we are. We can't neglect or reject culture just like we cannot refuse air. And I agree with this premise. But I also believe that culture is continuously bombarding us daily as we interact, as we work, as we play, as we live our lives. It is at this crossroads where we must decide which cultural ideas will we embrace. Do we continue the same thought patterns that we have enjoyed, or do we embrace new ones? Daily, many of us are like that college student who now sees the world for the first time differently. And this is where emotional intelligence, espoused by Daniel Goleman, helps us to understand how to interact and relate to others. But for those of us who are leaders, this is where Hershey and Blanchard's situational leadership allows us to be flexible in our approach in dealings with others, especially with those who we lead. Situational leadership helps us to understand that everyone is different and to appreciate this diversity. For we can't approach others like we would approach ourselves. And this is the genius of God, our Creator. He made us all different, but He loves us all the same. God bless.